Hey everyone, Angela here. Happy Monday. I am a therapist. I'm a life coach for women, and I support women to find their dreams, to go after them without any hesitation, self-doubt, overwhelm, any of that, right? Burnout. We're really kind of getting rid of that, going after our dreams, being successful. So I'm so happy to have you here today. Today I want to talk to you all about those key ingredients. What makes us feel empowered? What makes us feel confident and go after the things that we want? I've had some folks kind of say to me, and I'm so humbled and thankful, being able to notice and know that on my journey, I've, been able to kind of build my businesses from the ground up and have seen me kind of be in different workspaces, different jobs, different ways of trying to make money, and then be able to kind of just go for it, right? Like leave that, the stable, the sure thing, right? The 9 to 5, and go for my own businesses. So I love to talk about that. And I'd love to open that up to anyone else who wants to talk about that too. And I think really, feeling empowered to do so really helped me. So I want to kind of break down those key ingredients for you. And we can feel empowered in so many different ways. So we can feel empowered as a woman. We can feel empowered as as a leader of the family, of our organization, our church, our workplace, right? We can feel that way. And sometimes we feel super empowered and in control of maybe it's a couple areas, right? Maybe we feel pretty good in life. It's just we have one or two things that maybe we feel a little stuck on. So I know some folks are doing awesome in their workplace. They're just like crushing it. But maybe romantic relationships are struggling, or familial relationships are struggling. Or maybe it's, they've got an amazing relationship. They've got a spouse or a family. They feel really confident and comfortable. But maybe at work, that's a little bit a place where they wish they could kind of do a little better, do something different, right? Maybe they feel stuck, complacent, all of that. So I'm going to take the work environment as an example today, but I want to kind of talk through, break those down, those ingredients to feeling empowered. And I know some of you are working those, kind of 40 plus jobs, 40 hours, right? They were working for somebody else. Maybe you're working in a place where you really loved it. You were so lit up when you first started. And you kind of have seen that it's drained you along the way. It's, a lot of organizations, maybe nonprofits, maybe other helping fields too, right? Like they can ask a lot of us as employees. They can ask for time, energy, ask us to do other duties, right? Ask us to do other people's jobs, right? So it's like a lot that we're expected to do, and the rewards, right? We get into it for those rewards, those intrinsic rewards a lot of times at the beginning, and then it kind of comes down to, well, now that my energy is depleted, it's even hard for me to feel those intrinsic rewards. So I think for folks that are in that transition time, thinking about, I really don't want to live life this way. Like I would like a better job. I would like a better environment, a better support system, better supervisor, all of that. I know that we get stuck in these places sometimes and we're miserable. We're maybe complacent. We're not feeling like we're not where we want to be. We didn't ever get the raise or the promotion or the growth, right? We're just kind of buried with more. It's hard to feel empowered when you're in that state, right? It's really hard to feel that way. And so, I think that kind of piles on itself, and it makes it difficult to really feel that empowerment, that courage, that confidence to do something different, to break out of that mold. So I think, growing up, as we look at those previous generations, our previous generations were told, you go and you work hard, right? You get a job, you work hard. Or in the generation after that was like, you go to school, you work really hard, you get the good grades, you go to school, and then you get a job and you work really hard, right? So, the truth is there's so many more options and, opportunities around us. And it's really not, for the most part, it's really not a place where we have to necessarily settle for something that we hate, right? Like it's, there are some entry-level jobs, and there are definitely, other considerations where you live and kind of what's going on and, what you have access to. But I do think there are a lot more opportunities than there ever were, and that having to kind of settle for just like the thing that's there is a little bit less. We can kind of open up our opportunities more for that. So there was a time at one of my old previous jobs, and, I remember, again, starting out really liking and excited about the opportunity, working really hard. That was a job where I had to travel a lot. So, it was taxing both emotionally. It was working with families as kind of an in-home family therapist, kind of on call, all of that. So it was really exciting because I got the experience that I wanted and was able to work with so many different populations and age groups and things like that. But I was constantly, on the road, just like eating like crap because it was like, constantly traveling and having to kind of match my schedule with somebody else's. So it was a lot of, moving around, and it was hard to kind of structure the day, I guess, as I would want. And there were a lot of really hard cases, really hard, emotionally, draining and really sad, situations sometimes. So anyways, I just remember that this was a high turnover, position, but I was doing it. I was like, oh, maybe I'll stick in here and work my way up. And I was making some friends along the way and stuff like that at work. So there were some good things, right, that were keeping me there. But I just remember I had this family that kept going through the system, and it was really, really heartbreaking to see, and I really felt like there was multiple places where the systems that were in place were feeling this particular family that I had to work with, and ended up, I remember that this was my final straw of I can't do this anymore. It was because it got to a point where it was so taxing on me, and I was like, we're just kind of doing the same things over and over and nothing else is happening. And I remember being at this meeting, and I was really just, they ended up, I think, taking the kid into custody, and I just had it. Like, I'd had it with the system. It felt so frustrating and disempowering. Like, there was nothing I could really do to help them, and it was really, really hard. And I remember just, like, I felt like my body was, like, screaming for the inside out. It was like, get out. Like, I can't do this anymore, right? This was the straw, right? There were many other straws, right, that I kind of piled on, but this was the straw. So they put this kid in handcuffs. I remember this, I'll never forget this. They put this kid in handcuffs, and I was like, no, I'm done. I walked out of that room, and I was like on the verge of tears. Like, I thought I was going to explode. And my supervisor at the time just kind of had come out and was just kind of like, there's really nothing that they were, able to help me with. And they were just kind of like, yeah, this is how it is sometimes, just kind of that revolving door. And whew, that was like not the thing I wanted to hear, right? It was like, oh, so that confirmed for me that this was that frustration, this was that thing I was just going to continue to feel if I stayed here and worked here for, that $24,000 a year or whatever, pennies salary it was. And, again, this was a turning point for me where I was like, okay, I had stuck in, I learned a lot, I got from this, but I can't, like, I don't want to live like this anymore, right? So there's a lot of times in my life where I've had to kind of put my foot down, and that was kind of an extreme example, I think, but I think there's other examples where we just kind of get complacent in the work that we do, and we get frustrated over and over, but then it's kind of hard to see, okay, we get to a point where it's hard to see where's the way out, what's the next step, right? What do we need to do? So I want to come back to how I got out of that job, and it was, obviously I had reached my breaking point, but whenever I reached a breaking point, and this was my kind of cycle going through my life, when I had reached that breaking point with whatever it was, job, relationship, I would sit there and I would take stock of the situation, right, become aware, and create a vision for myself, like create that, okay, if this isn't the ideal, what is my ideal? I have to get back on track, or I have to create that vision for myself, number one. I have to get back on track with this. What do I want this to look like? What do I prefer instead? So in that moment, it was knowing that I couldn't stay in that role, seeing the same type of clients, seeing the same type of failures in the system, like that wasn't for me. So in that moment, I said, I know that I want to be able to get people to come to me and choose therapy and be ready for therapy and all these different things. And it was then clear to me that I needed my next step, which was additional education, because that's what I had wanted all along, was to have my own private practice. So anyway, so to going back on my track, but also to realign my vision, it was going toward that next step, which was more further education for me, which informed my next steps, right? Going back to school. So empowerment comes from having the vision, understanding what those barriers and roadblocks are. So is your barrier money? Is your barrier, not knowing what the next step is? Is your barrier, the people that are there? Is your barrier, deciding, understanding what that is? It the fear, really, right? Is it the internal fears? Is it, am I going to make it or not, right? Like what are those fears? Being able to address those, being aware and address those and kind of overcome them, right? Tap into the bravery to even do it scared, right? We talk about that a lot. Even doing it afraid, like doing it, that's the thing, right? So it's having your vision so you know the next steps, overcoming those fears, those things that are holding you back. And really, again, taking that step, tapping into your courage and your bravery and taking that next step for you, and really performing that action. So it's putting those steps into place, right? That's where you feel the empowerment. When you take awareness and ownership of what you got going on, understanding this is not my ideal life, this is not my goal. I'm going to take a minute, I'm going to realign what that looks like for myself. I'm going to create a plan, and then I'm going to put those steps in place. I'm going to be aware of my fears, but we're going to work through those. We're going to keep stepping to get to that next goal, that next direction, the next right place for me, right? And that feels empowering because you're taking back the control, right? Taking back the control, taking back the power. You're tapping into that for yourself. It comes from that intuitive leadership of your own life. So when I was in that meeting and my body was literally screaming at me like, I think I'm gonna explode. That was my body, that was my intuition telling me, hey, this is not for you. This is not for you. And that's okay, it can be for other people, that's fine. But for me, this was not for me. Yeah. So being able to honor that for myself and say, okay, we're going to do something different. This is not the life that I'm trying to live right now. And knowing that the answer's within you and taking that leadership step to say, okay, I'm going to do something about it. I'm actually going to put the actions behind my desires and my words. That's the intuitive leadership. That's where you feel empowered. That's where you come back, take your power, make that plan, and move your life in a different direction. Right? Easier said than done, right? But that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about in the Braver Life program. That's what I'm talking about in my group, Women Building a Bigger, Braver Life. I want you all to come and I want you to see that and take part of those conversations, because I know there's a ton of folks out there that are really, having goals that you want to get to. There's just a little something there that you just need a little tweaking, right? We need help with that step. We need that accountability. And that's okay. That's what that's for. That's what coaching is for. That's what all this is for. So I'm so excited because we have some really awesome things coming up this week, and I want to share that with you. So if you enjoyed this conversation, I invite you to come and be part of that conversation all week long in our Women Building a Bigger, Braver Life group. So I'm going to put that link there for you. This week I am welcoming Ashley, one of my good new friends and fellow coaches. She's going to come and talk to us about making quitting our superpower. So that's the other piece. What do we need to let go of, right? What fears, what things, what activities, what limits do we need to let go of to allow ourselves to feel empowered and be that leader, right? And take the next steps. I'm so excited to talk to her. That's going to be this Thursday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to put a link to that. You can also catch that in the Women Building a Bigger, Braver Life group as well. So feel free to join us there. And you can also join on Zoom too. And also this week, I want to share with you that I am offering a brand new program. So I know some folks are like, I don't know if I can commit fully to like a 90-day or a 6-month program. That's totally fine, understandable. So like I said, I was going to be offering new program. So this one's called Bust Out Your Brave. And this is really just a 3-hour single session. We're going to deep dive, right? We're going to look at one of those areas, right? Like we talked about, you might be killing it, crushing it in all these other areas, but there might be just one thing you need some guidance, some tweaking, some support with. So this is the Bust Out Your Brave. I'm so excited for this session. So it's 3 hours, you and me, deep dive in. We're going to be working on, again, getting those goals really solid, really picking apart those limiting beliefs, those barriers, those things that are holding you back. And then you're going to have that plan in place so that you know your next steps and what you need to do to get to your goal. So I'm so pumped for that. I'm going to put the link in there too. We can have a chat, or you can just go ahead and schedule with me right away. And that will be awesome. That will be it for you. You'll get any any additional information as you sign up too. So I'm really excited for that offering this week. I'm gonna put all the information here. I'm so excited to have you join us Thursday night. All right, any comments, questions, please let me know, and I will see you soon. Have a good one.